This is the Patriots Catch-22 podcast with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
I'm Evan Lazar. Evan Lazar. Hello, everybody. Nailed it. Joined as always by our spar. That's a fit. That's a match. No risk it, no biscuit.
22.
Here is Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
Teams that commit 10 or more penalties in the last 10 years only win 44% of the time.
Yeah, but you could do that with anything. Teams that only throw for 150 yards only win 44% of the time.
Here's my point. No, but because 150 yards is an abnormally low number.
Okay,
right.
10 penalties is an abnormally high number.
Right. So that's my point. There's no correlation between penalties and winning. What was the exact? I don't want to misquote it. What was the exact? That they don't impact.
So the three things
impact win-loss as much as other things.
The three things that he highlighted that impact win-loss at the most: turnover margin, EPA per dropback, and rush differential. Those are the three things.
Okay, penalties aren't the most impactful thing.
It's not a top three thing,
but it can be if you let them become a problem.
That's a really good open for this week, Alex, because we're going to do the good, the bad, and the stuff that gets you beat. And I texted Alex when I was doing some show prep, and I said, do we have anything that the Patriots did in this game that got them beat? Or could get them beat, I should say, since they didn't get beat. Could get them beat. And we had a philosophical discussion last week of, can you win a game and do stuff that gets you beat? And this week, I had a really difficult time, Alex, thinking of anything that they did in this football game that belongs in the stuff that gets you beat. Like it was really that good of a performance by the Patriots. We philosophically disagree a little bit on penalties, which is the one thing that you pointed out. And I wanted to start the show with nothing but flowers. And of course, I'm going right to the stuff that gets you beat. But it was such a short list that's the flowers. That this performance on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers was that good that I really did not have many quibbles with this game. So we'll get to the good, the bad, and the stuff that gets you beat. We'll get to 3 up, 3 down here today. And I also sincerely want to do a Bills preview this week,
because you just want to talk about Josh Allen.
No, I want to do a Bills preview, and I the reason why I'm excited about doing one is because this is the first time in a long time that I can remember where it actually matters. Like the matchups and the schemes
kind of a big game.
And the chess match, it all actually, we can go maybe, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself or too excited, but we can maybe actually go back to analyzing the games, and actually like talking about.
We're not going to do half the show on the draft today,
right? Like the matchups and big games and Sunday Night Football and stakes and all that good stuff. So that's the show rundown for today. We'll take your calls and emails in the second hour of the show, and then we'll get us rolling here. But that's my opening take about this game against the Panthers, was that this was probably the cleanest football game that the New England Patriots have played in, I would say, 3 years, 8 months, and 26 days, which was the Jacksonville 50 burger in 2021.
Since that, from that game, going back to the end of the 21 season, I don't remember if we talked. I think we did talk about this. The last time they won at home in September, their starting quarterback was?
Last time they won at home in September.
Yeah, before this game.
Tom Brady?
Well, you actually overshot it. Most people had said Mac Jones. It was Cam Newton.
I was close.
It was against the Raiders, week 3. That was actually a fun game.
Yeah, I remember that.
First time they're at 500 or better at the end of September since 2019. First time they've had, and I don't know how deep you want to dig into this one, Evan. So the Miami game, they had 5 different players score a touchdown. That was the first time, not 5. There had been other times where they scored 5 touchdowns, but there was a guy scoring 2 or 3, right? It was the first time they had 5 different players in a game score a touchdown since that Jacksonville game that you mentioned. And then Mac Hollins scored. They had 6 different players score a touchdown for the first time since week 2, 2019. You know what game that is?
Oh, no.
So here's your touchdown scores in that one. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
James White.
Yeah.
Brandon Bolden.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. There's a linebacker in there. I think it's Jamie Collins. I'll double check that. Stephon Gilmore and Antonio Brown.
I was going to say Miami too.
Yeah.
I was going to say Miami because they blew out the Dolphins. Yeah.
That's obviously not something
I trust my gut more on those.
That's not something that's going to be a regular occurrence, obviously. Having 6 different players, it was Jamie Collins' 69-yard interception return touchdown. They had 2 pick sixes in the fourth quarter of that game. It's not something that's going to happen a ton, but I think it speaks to how they've built this thing back up, having Josh McDaniels back in the picture. Did they have, I mean, they must have, but like, how many different players scored a touchdown all of last season?
So, more than 6, but
more than 6, but like,
I think the point that you're getting at, though, and this kind of segues into the first part of the goods as well that I wanted to bring up, which was, of course, Josh McDaniels and Drake Maye and this whole marriage and this whole system.
By the way, they had, I realize it's not including defense, but I don't think they had any defensive touchdowns last year, right? No, they didn't. So they had 1. So they had 13 total players score a touchdown last year. They had 6 in this game.
Yeah, so I think this comes back to, I wanted to start with McDaniels and May, obviously, and you look at this offense.
That's a Josh McDaniels stat.
Yeah, week 1, Kayshon Boutte, right, leading receiver for the team, 100-yard game. Week 2, it's Ramondre Stevenson. Big Ramondre game, has the 55-yard catch, runs the ball pretty well, over 100-plus yards from scrimmage. Week 3, it's Hunter Henry, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. This week, it's Stephon Diggs. They do not have necessarily the quote-unquote number 1 receiver. Maybe Diggs is that. Maybe he's starting to come on again post-ACL, and we're starting to see the pre-ACL Stephon Diggs come to light. But on paper, they don't necessarily have a true Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua number 1 receiver. But they've got great balance. And I know balance, we often talk about run-pass balance, but this is also just balance of distributing the football. Drake Maye has distributed the ball in the last 3 weeks all over the place. Like running backs, tight ends, receivers, everybody's getting looks from Drake Maye. And when I think about the Josh McDaniels offense, and when I think about it at its peak, with Brady, of course, but just in general, that to me is the Josh McDaniels offense when it's at its peak. The open guy is getting the football. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily need to be force fed to one player. The open guy is getting the football, and you're starting to see that. And I think that in itself is also a really good indication of the quarterback play that they are getting, because you don't see Drake Maye having to force balls into tight windows or force feeding one particular player or having tunnel vision for his first read, or Diggs or what Hunter Henry or whatever the case may be. And that tells you that that's a quarterback that is going through his progressions, that's playing on time, that's playing with confidence in the system, that I can pass up the first read because the second read is going to be open, and I'm going to trust the guy that is the second read in the progression to actually get open on his route. And I understand that based off the coverage and based off the look that we're getting, that that's the right decision here, and I'm willing to make it. And that's when you start to get a quarterback that is playing at a different level. And I think you see that with all these different guys across the league. And I think that that's a big part, as we start to talk about the Bills here too, of Josh Allen's development, is his willingness to take profits and his willingness to not always hunt the big play or the haymaker, and understanding the importance of playing in structure. And I think we're just at a really nice kind of heater right now for Drake Maye and Josh McDaniels in that respect. I want to break out the McDaniels offense and what we're seeing him run with Drake Maye into kind of buckets here, in subcategories, if you will, because the other element of this, Alex, that I've just been really geeked up about with Josh McDaniels is how much he has changed his offense to cater it to Drake Maye.
I wonder who was talking about that when he got hired and everybody freaked out.
It's really cool to see the different scheme elements that he's brought to the table. This is not the Josh McDaniels offense circa 2016. That doesn't mean that there aren't things in it that are similar. Certainly in the drop back passing game, there are similarities, but they have done some things that I just frankly did not know Josh McDaniels had in his bag, not because he's not capable, but because he's never really shown it because of the personnel that he's had.
Right.
And the biggest one, of course, is all like the moving pockets and stuff like that. You just weren't going to do that with Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady was not going to be a bootleg quarterback. That just wasn't going to be something that you were going to scheme with Brady. And he was the greatest of all time at a bunch of other different things, but that was not one area of his game that they were going to necessarily amplify. So what the Patriots have done, and as we start to go into these subcategories, I want to start with like what they're doing from under center. Yeah. And they're underneath center quite a bit as an offense. Top 10 in the league there in under center rate. Old McDaniels would go under center. They'd run gap, right? They run power, they run lead, they run counter, they run trap, they run wham, and all these different gap schemes to get downhill on the defense. But those gap schemes, for the most part, some of them, and we saw some of them in this game against Carolina, those gap schemes, for the most part, do not set up bootlegs. Like, those gap schemes set up traditional play action pass. So the Patriots from under center, they have evolved a lot more to an outside zone duo team so that they can script some of these bootlegs off of the stretch action. And then they've also used a little bit of counter or trap, which also kind of has like a stretch action element that you can boot off of as well, with the guard pulling and you boot the other direction. So they've done a lot of that different stuff under center that isn't necessarily what, we're going to lead the fullback through the hole, and then sometimes it's going to be play action pass, and he's going to draw on the linebackers, and we're going to hit a crossing route or a seam right by the ear hole of the linebacker. This is a lot more of, we're going to get Drake Maye on the edge, we're going to get him on the move, and we're going to try to either push the ball down the field off the bootlegs, or he's just going to run if the flat is open. So a very different philosophy there, I would say, from what they were used to be doing to what they're doing now. And just the last point I'll make on this is just the amount of motion and the increase in motion, which comes with this style of base offense. Like, if you're going to be an under center, outside zone, keeper, bootleg team, then you have to have window dressing to that. You can't just do it without motion. So over the last 3 weeks, they've been motioning at 62% of the time, and they're right into the middle, above average part of the pack here in motion rate. That week one motion rate still keeping them down for the whole season, but if we take that out, then they're at about 62, 63%. So they've really adapted that under center offense to fit the quarterback and to do it a little bit differently than what they did with, let's say, Brady or Mac Jones. And I think that that's just a testament to McDaniels' willingness to evolve and to be different.
Yeah, this is what I talked about when he got hired, and everybody was freaking out about, is he going to be able to run the Brady offense and this and that?
Is there too much on his plate? Are we still talking?
Too much on his plate?
Yeah.
Well, and it's what I'm excited for now is, and I say this a lot, so I apologize for coming off to, a broken record here, but the Josh McDaniels offenses, because it's always, even with Brady, it's a little different from year to year, and he doesn't just tweak it for the quarterback, he tweaks it for the personnel as a whole.
Sure.
So, and obviously a lot of that's around the quarterback, but you have a running back that can do this, you have a wide receiver that can do that, yada, 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 right? So it's never the same in December as it is in September, and it always evolves and it changes. And now that we're a month in, and I think we talked a lot about the personnel getting comfortable with the system. I think there's also an element of Josh McDaniels is now kind of comfortable with the personnel.
Yeah.
And look, you spend, spring practices, training camp, you have an idea of what you have in these guys, certainly. But I think there is an element of you have to see it in a game to really understand. And I think now he's like, okay, this guy can do this, and I want to try this with that guy, and blah, blah, blah. So that clip going around from the mic'd up of McDaniels saying to May, we're just getting started, right? I'm excited to see, okay, this is an awesome start. Now what? What's the next evolution of this? And again, we'll talk about the Bills in a little bit, but boy, what a time to start introducing some new elements. Divisional game, prime time. You're going to need, some help on the road against a superior team. This is Josh McDaniels when he's at his best. It's catered to the players in the system. It's a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. He's mixing and matching different pieces. He did a good job breaking down there what they're doing with some of the play action stuff. And I believe he's going to build on it from here. This is not the final form of this offense. I don't even think it's close. I think we're probably scratching the surface just based on how he's done this in the past. So I know we're not doing ups and downs yet, but like Josh McDaniels, big up from this game and probably from the first month of the season.
Yeah, so a lot of good points, and I think.
And I'll say this too. Sorry,
yeah,
cut in with that. Talk about him mixing and matching the different pieces, and he's talked a little bit about this, and Mike Vrabel's talked a little bit about this. Thomas Brown, right? And we all ultimately don't know who's inputting what, but as the pass game coordinator,
your station, sir, loves this topic.
What topic? There's other coaches in that room. Thomas Brown, Doug Marrone, who brings some of that experience. There's some other guys as well, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the guys who've been at the coordinator level and above. Todd Downing, right? Who have been in other systems. Why are you shaking your head?
No.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Like, you have to imagine there's some input there as Josh puts this together. So
yeah,
he's ultimately driving this. He's putting it together, but we talked when they hired him. We talked about this being a little bit of an all-star staff on the offensive side. You have three former head coaches, I guess, if you want to include
Doug Marrone,
Thomas Brown.
Well, interim Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown, Doug Marrone, and Josh McDaniels.
Yep.
Right. Plus Todd Downing, who was a coordinator.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing somebody. I apologize if I am, but I feel like I'm missing somebody.
In terms of former like high-level coaches, OCs or head coaches, I believe that's it.
The schematic edge you would expect to have. And look, there's still a lot of things to clean up, the turnovers, right, and all of that. But like schematically, the stuff that you love, where you're like, well, I don't always care who wins the game. I just want fun tape.
Yeah,
like true. That side of it, is it safe to say they've checked that box as you would expect from a coaching staff with this much brain power?
100%. Why do you think I'm so giddy about all this? Like this offense and their tape is legitimately fun to break down. Like there's so many different things that they're doing and so many different plays that they're running where I just look at it, I'm like, holy hell, is that a great scheme, right? Like even if it doesn't work because the execution isn't perfect, I just know that they're going to come back to certain things here that they're running where, like for example, as we kind of segue into like their early down gun package I wanted to talk about a little bit. They ran on Sunday, and I know I talked about this yesterday on PU, and everybody made fun of me. They ran counter bash in this game, which is a designed quarterback option, right? It's a option run. Quarterback reads the end, he gives it, or he keeps it himself on the counter action. It's actually technically inverted counter bash because the quarterback is the one that was counters GT, right? Guard, tackle, pull, and then the quarterback is actually the one that would follow the pullers. So in this case here, it's actually would be called inverted counter bash because typically the running back would follow the pullers and the quarterback would take it around the edge if the end crashes. I digress. They ran counter bash. It only gained 5 yards. Like he handed the ball off to Travion Henderson. He probably should have kept it, but I think when in doubt, most quarterbacks are coached. If you're not 100% sure that you're going to hit a big play as the runner, then just give the ball to the running back and let the running back take the beating and not the quarterback. But they only gained 5 yards on the play. But the fact that it's in and the different sort of just wrinkles they had off of this one play, thinking about all the different things that they can do with it moving forward, because now that they've put it on tape, like they snuck Hunter Henry out on a route on the play, and he was wide open because the Panthers safeties jumped the counter action, and he was just wide open behind the defense for a home run. Like now they can go back to that play, and they have that in their bag now because they've put it on film. And that's what makes their offense right now so exciting to watch. And the gun stuff that obviously there's a lot of quarterback read option style plays. They're doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Drake Maye holding the backside or reading the backside and deciding whether to give it or to keep it himself. They're doing a lot of design rollout plays as well, which we saw on the Hunter Henry touchdown in this last game. And you just see the impact of Drake Maye's legs on that play because 2 guys go to Drake Maye and no guys go to Hunter Henry because they're worried about him running with the football. And then they also have this motion package that they've installed from the gun where they're running a lot of orbit, when the player just kind of goes right behind the quarterback and orbits around the quarterback like he's the sun. That's why they call it orbit motion. So they're doing that. They have their spinner series where he's, faking it to the orbit motions and the different motions. So that element of their playbook, the under center stuff is classic pro style, right? But the gun elements to the playbook in terms of the early down offense is college style offense. This is RPO heaven, like is what they're running right now with Drake Maye. And so they have all these different elements, and you can see obviously the window dressing's huge with me. I love that, but also just leveraging Drake Maye's legs against the defense, his mobility is now becoming a factor on every single play by design. It's not just that he could scramble, it's that he's holding the backside. It's that they're rolling him out of the pocket. It's these different things that they're doing to amplify his mobility. And, not to keep going back to it, but it's just Bills week and it's on my mind. A lot of this is what Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen. Like a lot of this is similar to what the Bills have done with Josh Allen. And I just look at it and I just think it's just hitting more notes with Drake Maye. And then the last bucket that I had here was just their traditional drop back passing game, which is a lot more of what the old McDaniels stuff is. Like this is when you see a lot more of, the double digs and the middle reads and the daggers and the under formations and the bunches and like all this different stuff. So they're doing, what I want to give flowers to in terms of the drop back stuff, Alex, is something that you were hitting on with Todd Downing. Their levels and spacing to their route concepts right now are really, really good. And I think some of us had some concerns coming into the year that Todd Downing had never coached wide receivers before, and we weren't 100% certain if that was a great hire. But I think what's been great about the hire so far with Downing is that he conceptually, because of his coordinator background, he understands how the routes fit into the bigger picture. So he can explain to Pop Douglas and Kyle Williams, hey, we're going to have you run these two posts. We're going to have you run this dino concept on the left-hand side here because we're actually clearing out space for Stephon Diggs to run a crossing route underneath the two deep routes. And even though you might not get the football, like your route is really important,
right?
In terms of the spacing, in terms of the way the defense plays it. So you need to run that route like you are going to get the football. So the two of them take off on the left side of the formation, and the post safety in the deep middle of the field, he's got to stay over the top of the two deep post routes because he has no other choice. Otherwise, it's going to be a 60-yard bomb over his head. And so Stephon Diggs is just wide open underneath the coverage, running away from man-to-man. So these the elements of their drop back game that I think are the most impressive to me is how well spaced they are and how well frankly, coordinated they have been in that aspect. And we have not seen that really going back all the way to 2021. Like 2022, all the spacing and that type of stuff started to creep up in the Patricia offense, and they never really got it out of their system. They were never able to get that back to where it needed to be. In short order, this coaching staff has gotten this passing game back to where it needs to be. And I want to talk about Drake Maye here in a second. I don't know if you had any other thoughts about that, but some of these numbers that Drake Maye is putting up in the first month of the season, you have to like remind yourself that it's only been 4 games. But do you have any other thoughts on that?
Just on the schematic stuff, and you kind of touched on the motion there, if I'm going way back, and I apologize if you mentioned it. It was good. It was a lot. It was good. The 2-play sequence in the second quarter.
Yeah.
So first off, and we can get into how they used Ramondre and all of that, and him starting and him playing the most snaps of any running back. They've been using a lot of 2-back, and this is where I get to the elevation of the Josh McDaniels offense, right? So they've been using a lot of 2-back, but it's been traditional pony. It's Drake Maye in the shotgun with a running back on either side, or in a handful of times like they used Antonio Gibson as a fullback, right? So you don't know that when you're in the defense, they're in the huddle, you're just like 2-back, so they're probably assuming, all right, they're going to go pony here, whatever, this or that. They come out, I don't know how many times they've done it before this game, Evan. You might have this off the top of your head, where they came out 2-back with a running back out wider in the slot. Like, they definitely hadn't done it a lot before this game.
We saw it a lot in training camp.
Yeah.
And so I knew that was in their bag, but they hadn't done it necessarily a ton in game yet.
So they come out, they put Antonio Gibson in the slot, Ramondre Stevenson behind Drake Maye under center. They put Gibson on the jet motion.
Yep.
Hand it off to him, end around, good blocks from Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs. Gibson breaks the tackle, goes to 21. Like, great play, right? Good play. You show him a little bit of a different wrinkle, the running back in the slot, you do the motion. But if you watch Maye after the handoff, he still kind of leans, and it's a fake handoff after the real handoff, which sometimes, because you see that sometimes on like draws or whatever, and the quarter or on whatever, like it's a fake handoff after the real handoff, but they kind of go stretch left with Ramondre after the end around the jet sweep to the right. So they come back the very next play. It's not the exact same formation, but again, it's Travion Henderson now instead out wide.
I know why that happened, but keep going.
Why? What happened?
Why it was Henderson instead of Gibson? But
so I think it's Henderson because you hit them with this, jet motion play.
Yeah.
Now let's put the guy in who's really the game breaker, who's kind of the ideal person to do that.
That's not why, but finish your point.
That's got to be part of the reason.
It wasn't.
They put him in the same motion.
Yes.
And the entire defense comes crashing. Not the entire defense, but like the linebackers, like all come crashing down to that motion, the jet right. Because May even fakes the handoff. He comes back left, stretch run Ramondre. He rips it off for a 22. And talking to David Andrews on Monday, I got to get the plug in for the Andrews podcast.
I was going to say, what did David Andrews think about this game? I was waiting for it.
Well, so for that play, it was really interesting because he kind of talked about how he can hear like a lot of the calls in his head when he sees them. He didn't know what that was. That's not something they've run before. That was new.
Yeah.
So new wrinkle, using the setup to build a shot play off of it. I loved that. Everything about that sequence. That was awesome. But why was it Travion
I'll tell you in
Henderson
a second. But I think that just like, because I could talk about motion all day long. Like this is my wheelhouse. This is why, and I know I sound like a broken record when I constantly bring up motion rates and things like that, but this is why I love it so much, because the impact that it has on the defense to me makes it so much more vital than maybe some of the drawbacks that it might have for the offense. Like the drawback that it has for the offense that I hear a lot of the time from talking to like offensive coordinators and stuff is that it changes the defense's picture, right? Because it's going to change how the defense is distributing after the snap. And you have to have a quarterback that is quick on his feet and like kind of can process that. Sometimes quarterbacks don't like it. Like Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers notoriously did not like motion. They wanted stagnant formation so that they could see the shell that the defense was in and then make decisions. Because if you motion, now the shell changes. And so you have to change with it. But that's the drawback that people say with motion. But the benefit is exactly what you're talking about, which is that you can really get eye candy to make defenders bite on certain things, and then you can hit them in different places. And this is what the whole Shanahan tree has based their entire offense off of, is you're going to be looking over here because we're going to put all this eye candy or window dressing over here, but we're actually trying to throw the ball or run the ball over there. And it's really difficult to stay home. Like it's really difficult. And then you can also have all these different elements off the motion that you can script. So now they showed the jet motion with Gibson. Then they handed off to Ramondre. Well, now you can play action fake off the motion, off the handoff, and now all of a sudden you just create this like chain reaction in the defense, and that's where you really get those scripted plays going. No, the reason why the personnel changed was that Gibson landed on the football on the jet motion. He got wind knocked out of him, and he had to come out for a couple plays.
So do you think they run that play again with Gibson, if they were, that was supposed to be Gibson back to back?
Yes. Yeah. So there's supposed to be Gibson and Ramondre again.
I do think there's an added element with Henderson and his speed, though.
It ended up working out and all as well, in all that elements of that too. So that's the offense breakdown. Hopefully I didn't overload you too much with the jargon, but this stuff I have to remind myself to be, to remain calm about this. And I would say the same thing about Drake Maye and some of the advanced analytics and the numbers that he is putting up right now in terms of the efficiency. We all, I feel like in some respects, I personally am just set up for failure. Like that's just the way I think. So I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. Like I'm waiting for him to regress back to the mean or something like that. But there is a chance, Alex, that he's just good. And this is just what they're going to be. There's a chance. The fact that I can sit here and say that through 4 weeks of the season, the Patriots are third in the league in EPA per dropback third in the league
Yeah.
in EPA per dropback on passing downs. It's the Buffalo Bills with the MVP of the league, the Green Bay Packers, and the Patriots. Like, that's incredible. That I don't care what 4-game stretch of the season we were talking about.
There's a lot of other teams playing bad teams too,
right?
And they're not up there. Look, there probably is some regression back to the mean here for this offense. This is why I think this weekend's game is so fascinating, because they just played one of the worst teams in the NFL in the Carolina Panthers and blew their doors off, which you want to see because the last couple of years they've been the team getting their doors blown off. But we got to see what they look like against the Panthers, bottom of the league. And now right away we get to see what they look like against the Bills, which is one of the teams at the top of the league. And so we get to come in next week, and this is going to kind of be the big thing for me coming away from this game. Who are they closer to, right? Even if they don't beat the Bills, do they look closer to Buffalo than they did to Carolina?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Drake's just been really outstanding, I would say, for 3 straight games. Sans 2 plays against Pittsburgh.
I think you can honestly say 7 of the 8 halves of football he's played have been high level.
Yeah.
The second half against the Raiders was still bad.
Yeah.
But outside of the first half against the Raiders, he was good. Played well against Miami. There's 2 turnovers against Pittsburgh, but I would say he played well in that game. I think that is a winning level of quarterbacking. And then obviously played well this week. So it's just that one half against the Raiders. That's
it. And I look at it and I just think that, again, it's just a perfect marriage between the plays they're asking him to run and his skill set, and it's allowing him to play on time, decisive, accurate with the football. And then there also are still elements in the offense that they're running that allow him to make plays and get out of the pocket and do those different types of things. But they've done a really nice job, and Drake Maye's done a nice job of kind of limiting those hero ball YOLO moments where he just tries to do a little bit too much, and that can get him into trouble. He had 1 or maybe 2 of those instances in this game. He threw one over the middle of the field. It was the one incompletion that he threw to Stephon Diggs, where Diggs was they were running dagger, so middle read, go route in the middle of the field, and then a dig from the outside receiver. They call that dagger. And Diggs, just like Hunter Henry was on the 4th down play against Pittsburgh, Diggs is wide open up the chute. They bust the coverage and he's wide open. But Drake Maye has pressure in his lap, and he tried to jump throw it off 2 feet, like his 2 feet were both off the ground, and he ended up dirting it. Not the worst outcome that could possibly happen. But those are, when I see him throw from those wonky bases and platforms, I'm like, I don't know if we need him to do that anymore. Maybe you need to do that last year when you just are trying to do anything that you can to move the football. I'm not sure they need him to do that now. He can do it conventionally. But the amount of conventional offense that he is doing, everything is in terms of their passing game right now. I know a lot of people talk about, well, when you boot, you're cutting the field in half and that makes it easier for the quarterback and yada, yada, yada. Well, a lot of that too is the defense is reacting because he's an athlete that. It doesn't work if you don't have a mobile quarterback like Drake Maye being the one that's booting. If you have a quarterback like Mac Jones on a bootleg, then it's not necessarily going to have the same impact on the defense that a guy like Drake Maye can have on the defense. So, so much of what they're doing is leveraging off of Drake Maye's physical talent and raw ability. I didn't necessarily, this game was tough because he only had 21 dropbacks. So it wasn't like he had this game where I had him with 15 plus plays because he had 50 dropbacks and there was a whole bunch of plays to come out of it. But in some ways, I kind of like that there's not a lot of volatility right now where I'm just looking at it. I'm like, that's an NFL quarterback should make that throw. And he's making it, but that's telling you that the scheme is working and the plays that they're running are working.
It's consistency. That's what I've been hammering since the beginning with him. Just has to be more consistent. He's doing it.
All right. Now that I've waxed poetic about the offense, because which was fun, don't get me wrong. I want to move on to a couple of things on the good side for the defense and just kind of talk about one thing philosophically with the defense. Before we do that, because that could be a bigger discussion, it wasn't an up or a down in this game, I didn't feel like, but Christian Gonzalez returning is just a good element. He played all 3 quarters that the starters played in this game, so he didn't have to come off the field at all in those snaps. So even though I think he probably played like 70% of the snaps, it's deceiving because they pulled the starters in the fourth quarter. He was not limited. He was not on a snap count or a pitch count or anything like that. Was a little bit rusty. McMillan's a good player. Like Tet's going to be a good receiver in this league, but he was maybe a little bit rusty. But in general, I just think it's a good thing overall that Gonzo's healthy. His conditioning seems good enough to play 100, close to 100% of the snaps. And this was a good game to get his feet wet because no offense to the Carolina Panthers, not exactly the greatest show on turf. So now that we build up to the Bills this week, it's good that he had this one game under his belt before you throw him in there against Buffalo. So what did you think about Gonzalez's return?
I think the big thing, like you said, he played essentially the whole game. He played as long as the starters are out there, so this isn't going to be a ramp up in terms of conditioning or anything like that. I actually thought the Panthers were one of the few things I'll credit the Panthers for in this game. They were smart to test him with a comeback early on, right? Make him put his foot in the ground and push off and go off that hamstring. And that's the one play where he really gets beat. He allowed another catch, but it was like underneath wrap and tackle. You live with that. So need him more this week for sure, like you said. But it was a solid return. Nothing mind-blowing, but I think you kind of saw everything you needed to see with him to not be nervous about him long-term, and you go from there.
Yeah, and I'm just really excited about seeing how moving forward they're going to game plan with Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, because I don't feel like this game was that fully unleashed just yet in terms of we're going up against a team where we really like our advantage of the corners over the receivers, which they probably did in this game too. But it just is going to be fun to see now that when they go up against a guy like Josh Allen, like how the vision of how they envision in the offseason of using this cornerback tandem and then actually implementing that in a real game. And then the other thing I had down here for the defense was, they played pretty good defense after the opening script. I have some quibbles with the defense in this game that I thought the score kind of washed away some of the stuff that didn't go so well for the defense. But the defense after the opening script, was what it was. Obviously, they basically went 3 quarters without giving up points in this game. They gave up the opening drive touchdown. They gave up the garbage time touchdown to Andy Dalton. Yep. They went the entire time in between without giving up any points. I thought what was really good about the defense, other than the individual players, which we'll get to, but they won all of the important downs in the middle of the field. Once the Panthers crossed over into Patriots territory, the Patriots were able to hold them out of scoring territory and really lock down defensively to keep them out of getting points in those situations, which was really good to see. My facilitation question for you is, this feels like at times the Patriots defense under Bill Belichick was just this, exactly the same way. This feels like a defense that's we're going to let the game declare kind of defense. So the Raiders, the Steelers, and now the Panthers all scored on their opening drive.
All 3 games at home, by the way.
All scored on their opening drive, touchdowns right down the field. And then for whatever reason, they talked a lot about in the post-game locker room, the first 15, the scripted plays. The Panthers ran like 4 or 5 plays, got on the other side of the 50-yard line, stalled out, and that was all she wrote for the rest of the game for Bryce Young in Carolina. Do you have a problem with them being an in-game adjustments kind of defense? Because I don't really have a problem with that. Now, the only difference, though, I would say, is that the Patriots in the dynasty era were able to do that because the offense was going to score.
Right.
So if you get down 14-0 like they did against Pittsburgh, the Patriots knew Tom Brady was going to come back.
So, yeah, there's layers to this, and I wonder if that's why Vrabel took the ball last week against the Steelers. I don't mind them being an adjusting defense, but that's not carte blanche to just
be bad in the beginning.
Right, allow opening drive scores. Because when you start facing some of these better teams, you let the Panthers get up 6-0. You can come back from that. When you get to the Bills, when you get to the Bucks in a few weeks, the Ravens later in the year, when you're getting into playoff games in a year or two, you can't be doing that on a regular basis. So, yeah, I think they should adjust as the game goes on, but they do got to come out with a little bit more. You can't keep allowing first drive touchdowns every single game. That's not sustainable.
Yeah. So, to go to the bads, just to segue into it, the opening drive for the Panthers in this game, they averaged 10 yards a play on the opening drive. Carolina did. Just went right down the field on the Patriots. And I thought there were a couple of different things that they did that gave the Patriots problems schematically that I am sure teams will try to replicate and hit on moving forward. The one thing that really popped up in this game to me, and again, not to keep bringing up Buffalo, but with James Cook in that Bills running game, they had a tough time setting the edge in this game defensively. They gave up over 7 yards a carry on runs outside the tackles in this game to Carolina. And this is not a Carolina rushing attack that is great shakes. Like the Bills rushing attack, #1 team in the league in pretty much every rushing category. So you're about to go up a notch in competition. I don't know. And I asked their outside linebackers coach this question. I think it was last week. And of course, I'm blanking on his name. I'll look it up in a second. He said that this is all by design and none of it is
Mike Smith.
Yes, Mike Smith.
Okay.
None of this is freelanced or anything like that. But the ends, Chazon and Landry, are slipping inside the tackles a lot. They are like kind of stunting or slanting inside, trying to hunt those tackles for loss. And that's all well and good if you replace the edge, right? If a linebacker or nickel corner or something like that is going to set the edge of the defense so that Landry and Chazon can slip into the backfield and go inside the B gap. That's all well and good, but they aren't resetting the edge. And so they're kind of losing the edge a lot. Now, Belichick, this would drive Bill crazy. Like Bill would be like, why are you going inside the tackle? Like we're going to set the edge. We're going to take a bucket step. We're going to get up, a yard up the field and we're going to sit on the edge, right? That's what we're going to do. They aren't really schematically, they're not doing it that way right now. So they either need to go back to doing it that way or they need to find a better way to get the force, right? To get that edge set to the defense. So that was one of them. The other thing that I've seen a little bit on film with them, they're matching a lot of their zones backside. So the backside corner is carrying the receiver backside like it's man-to-man coverage, and then the passing strength is playing zone coverage, and that is leaving the flat like wide open on the backside of the formation. So not to pick on him, but a lot of those passes are completed on Christian Ellis right now, and Ellis's eyes seem to like be in the backfield in the middle of the field, and they're not getting numbers out to that flat. So the Panthers multiple times hit the flats on the backside of the formation. So these are just things that consistently happen against Carolina that the Panthers are not good enough to sustain offense and make you really hurt for these things. But as the competition ramps up here a little bit, teams are going to be better at hitting on these weaknesses. Last one really quickly, they moved Ted McMillan in the slot a little bit in this game. And there was more than one occasion where Jalen Hawkins was on Ted McMillan in the slot. So they're not traveling as often with their corners and not moving the corners as often inside. If that's what you're going to do, again, like teams are going to realize, oh, if we put our #1 receiver in the slot and, the #3 spot in a 3-by-1 formation in the slot, he's going to get covered by a safety. And we're going to love that matchup.
Well, that's where I'm wondering what they're going to do with Dalton Kincaid this week.
Right. Whether it's, a player like that's a pass catching tight end, whether it's a player like McMillan that has flexibility to go inside. Not that I think that he's, how I feel about Keon Coleman, but Keon Coleman has the ability to run routes as a big slot or a power slot too. So these are just things that, Vrabel said after the game, they did a good job. Carolina did of moving guys around early on in the game. I think that's what he was talking about with Ted. The other thing that he said is that they're going to have to do a better job at disguising defensively. And I think right now it's pretty easy to decipher what exactly the Patriots are doing defensively. So they're going to have to ramp up some of that to improve on defense. What did you think of the defense in this game? Because I thought that the score was a little bit misleading for how they played defense.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of it. The slow start's obviously concerning. I think they buckled down in the middle. The big thing to me with this defense right now, when they rush 4 and I thought they're going to be more blitz heavy than they've been. Maybe that was just a Terrell Williams thing, and Zach Core kind of has a different philosophy when he's calling these plays. But when they rush 4, it's been very streaky. And when they get going, and when Milton Williams and Christian Barmore and Harold Landry and Caleb Von Chason, like when they get in a rhythm, it's every play. They're getting back there, impacting the quarterback every play. But there's stretches, they'll go a drive or two, especially early in games where you really don't see much. That's, to me, where this game changed for the defense. They weren't getting any pressure on Bryce Young until that third drive.
Right.
And once they got it, it didn't really stop, but they weren't doing much early in the game. So I just want to see, I want to be careful about how I say this. Like, the numbers are already pretty immense. I don't know. It's hard to ask that group to do more because I think that group's done a ton. But it's been very like a ton here and then none. And then a ton here. And it's just like, can you just level it out a little bit more? Obviously, if they're playing at that, if it's just a ton all the time, that would be awesome, right? But it just feels like there's some moments, and blitzing has jump-started that at times. So maybe some more timely blitzes to get that group up front going. Maybe some disguise helps with that. Teams start preparing for the blitz that isn't there. That's what happened on the big Milton Williams didn't get the sack. Caleb Von Chason got the sack, but Milton Williams came right up the middle, and Bryce Young basically just fell over, sacked himself.
Yeah, got spooked.
Chason touched him down. I think that's kind of what happened there, because if you watch the center, he goes to block nobody, and even the guard kind of lets Milton Williams through and looks to block. He doesn't follow Milton Williams around after he gets beat. He stays in his pass set, even though there's nobody else coming. I wonder if he was expecting a linebacker. So that's the big thing for me with the defense right now. Like, I think some of the coverage issues is Gonzalez gets back and they figure some things out. You're right. They got to do a better job when guys go in the slot of traveling. I think it's probably Gonzalez when another team's going to put another wide receiver and a number one wide receiver in the slot.
And they did, Gonzalez covered Ted a few times.
He did it
late in the slot. Ted caught that back shoulder from the slot.
Doing that a little more, moving Carlton Davis inside on big slot receivers or even tight ends occasionally, things like that. But
maybe that's that might be like post Halloween.
Yeah, like maybe that's something that comes a little later.
This is sort of the base of what they're trying to do, and they're trying to get that established and trying to get everybody on the same page and that sort of thing.
The big thing for me, though, and again, I want to stress this enough. The front has been really good. The pass rush has been really good when it's really good.
Yeah, they're like 12th right now in pressure rate as a team, which is good. I mean, much better than was last year. Significant.
So I don't know. I'm curious how you feel about this. Like, I just think a little more consistency from that group. Again, you're not going to get pressure on every play. I just think the dry spells are going maybe a little longer than they should for what this group is.
So I see what, so a little bit of a small C concern that we had about this defensive line, which I think has been outstanding on the whole, but just the little small C concern that we had was, do they have like a true one-on-one pass rush guy on the outside?
Right.
We know about Milton Williams and Christian Barmore, who are on my ups and were fantastic in this game for the most part. But what we're seeing a lot of now is, teams are starting to pay a lot of extra attention to those two guys.
Yeah.
They're kind of switching off on who's getting double teamed and who's getting the slide side and who's getting the man side and like all that different type of nuance on the interior of the offensive line that is now being game planned for. Like Milton Williams, and this is a good thing. Like Milton Williams and Christian Barmore are Tuesday players. Like they are guys that teams are going into the game saying, we cannot allow these two guys to wreck the game. But that really kind of puts Harold Landry and Caleb Von Chason in the spotlight, where you're going to get a lot of one-on-ones on the tackles. And do the Patriots have a true one-on-one winner in the pass rush out on the edge? That's probably, frankly, a need in the offseason that we're going to talk a lot about. I was going to say
Ruben Bain, Denis Dennis Sutton, get ready to learn these names.
Yeah, like that's right up there with number one wide receiver. If you really want this defense to take that next step, can you draft or sign or whatever a guy that can truly go out there, and when he gets a one-on-one, he's winning. And that maybe is what we're missing right now from the pass rush and the four-man rushes and the standard four-man rushes. Is like Barmore and Williams are going to create havoc, but they're not sack guys. Like they're not going to be double digit sack players. They're going to be disruptive, creating havoc type of players. So they need those edges to maybe be a little bit more one-on-one winning in the 4-man rush. Just to move back over to the offense, and then we're gonna move on from the good, the bad, and the stuff that gets you beat, because there's not much to talk about in the bad category. I do want to talk a little bit about the run game on offense. The numbers are not good, Alex, right now for the rush offense. They are 32nd in the league in EPA per rush. They're last in the league in rush EPA. They only had a 26% success rate in this game against the Panthers. And if you want the traditional stats, taking out Drake Maye runs,
traditional runs,
jet motions, traditional runs, 3.1 yards a carry in this game just on traditional runs. And that includes Ramondre having a 22-yard run. Yeah. So it just hasn't been very good with the traditional runs. And I just wonder, where you see, like, this is always a chicken or the egg thing with the running game. Is it the backs or is it the blocking? It's always a little bit of both. And I went back and watched all their between the 20s stuffs and to really examine whether or not, what's going on. I don't think that there's necessarily a ton of room. There's probably a little bit more room once they sort of get used to cutting off the blocks and things like that on these outside zone plays. There probably were a few cutback lanes that the backs missed in this game. But I don't necessarily think that there was like 150 yards of rushing offense that they left on the table. Just what has been your take there? Because when you look at all the charts, the passing offense is like all the way over here. Bottom top right is good, right? Yeah. And the pass offense and the rush offense is putting them in the bottom right because the pass offense is really good, but the rush offense is really, really bad.
I still feel like maybe the backs are missing a little bit of feel. Like they're just kind of running into contact. Like you said, I think there's been some room. It could be better, but I think there's been more room that's been there. It's like you said, I don't think it's any one thing. There's been times there's been holes to hit that haven't been hit. There's been times that there just hasn't been holes. It just, the whole thing just feels a little disconnected right now. And that's something I wonder as they go on and the backs get more chemistry with the line and Josh McDaniels gets a better feel for the line and how they're blocking it if that comes along. But they do have to get that run game going. And I mean, we can do the whole thing about Drake Maye design runs again. Yeah. Because they really haven't called a lot of those.
You just can't be one dimensional like this forever. Like it's not, they're balanced enough that they're not getting stuffed a lot.
Can I just pause here for a second?
Yeah.
We're talking about, the Patriots pass game is good, but dang, they need to run the ball better.
Yeah, they do.
Who would have thought?
They do need to run the ball better.
It's been a minute since we've talked about it.
Yeah,
like this,
so
right?
they're not getting stuffed a lot. Like they're not getting a lot of
they
TFLs.
don't have a lot of negative runs.
Right.
They just kind of, it's these 2 to 3 yard gains and that's it.
Right, and so that allows you to keep running the ball
right.
when you're not getting stuffed a ton and not getting those negative runs. But they haven't really broken, big ones or ones that really inflate those statistics that I brought up. So whenever you're 32nd in the league in anything, that's not good.
Yeah.
And they're dead last in the NFL right now in rush EPA. So that has to improve. Last one here. I had this in the bad category. You're going to have it in the stuff that gets you beat. 7 more penalties in this game, 54 yards. 2 penalties by first down by penalties. So not terrible in that category. But the penalties are still creeping up. They're still top 10 in the league in terms of penalties called against them. It's a problem. Like I'm not trying to say it's not a problem. They need to get that cleaned up.
So I have an interesting take on the penalties here. So they've been called for a lot of penalties, but the officials that they've had this year.
Are you making excuses for them right
now?
You're Mr. Penalties.
It's not excuses. It's just, no. All right, let me get the whole take in.
Yeah.
So they've had Ron Tolbert, Alex Moore, Cleet Blakeman, Bill Vinovich.
Yep.
Those refs rank, and this isn't in the exact order, but 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 10th in flags thrown this year. So they're getting crews that have thrown a lot of flags. Now it's early in the year, so there's the Patriots game makes up a quarter of that sample size. Chicken or the egg? Are the Patriots getting refs that are flag happy, or do these refs look flag happy because the Patriots are committing a lot of penalties?
This is a league-wide problem. These games are getting way too bogged down.
So here's the gauge. Here's the gauge. How many penalties are called on the other team in these games?
Right.
And so this game, it was pretty lopsided towards the Patriots. Steelers game, Dolphins game, the Raiders game, it was relatively even. So we'll have to see moving on. Now, look, here's where I'm going to say it's not an excuse. These guys know every week, like the coaching staff briefs them. And it's not just these guys call out penalties, these guys don't. Hey, this crew is a little tighter when it comes to pass interference. Hey, this crew's a little tighter when it comes to holding. Or this crew's a little looser on this crew's a little looser on that. And then once the game happens, even if it is maybe something a little different, you still need to know, okay, like early on, I got called for a borderline pass interference. That's how they're calling it. And
Right.
maybe you see the other team got called for it too. That's how they're calling it. Like, you have to adjust and do that within the game. So the penalty numbers do absolutely need to come down. But I also wonder if there's an element of it being so high that's simply
Trendy.
they're getting a lot of these refs that are flag happy. So I was trying to find this number here. I have it. So they've been called for 35 penalties this year. Their opponents have been called for 32.
Yeah.
So I do think some of this is the referees, but again, you got to know, okay, these refs are flag happy. Like the borderline stuff, I can't go there. I don't have that edge in this game.
So the one thing I'll say about the penalties, and then we're going to break, and we'll do.
And by the way, just to put the ball on that, they have Sean Hockley this week, who is the 6th most flag happy ref in the NFL at this point.
He loves to hear his own. That guy loves himself a little bit too much for me.
And I will say this: you look at the splits.
I shouldn't say things like that, but the officials are really starting to get under my skin.
Well, there's another side.
It's just really too much, guys. Like, we need to. These games, let the players decide the games. And I'm not saying that there's these like blatant penalties that are like literally costing games that I'm seeing every single week necessarily. It's just the whole thing, right?
So I'll say this.
It's on the whole.
There's another side of the referee thing that I complain about, that because you know my rule on complaining about the refs in terms of deciding the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
You get one a year. All sports.
And this isn't about the Patriots.
Calendar
this
year,
is
it's
about
not.
the product.
So this is my thing. Like, Ron Torbert did week 1. There were a lot of flags in that game, but credit to Ron Torbert and his crew. They'd throw the flag, play ends, whistle. He'd quickly get the signal from whoever threw it, call it, you move on. It didn't drag the game down. A couple weeks ago against Pittsburgh, Clete Blakeman's crew, it was like a 40-second conference every time, and they had to discuss and debate it. Like, no, you got to keep it moving. If you're gonna throw flags, know what you're calling and keep going.
All of these like ticky tack, I'm a big Ted Karras guy.
Yeah.
Ted Karras like bobbing his head a little bit too like much.
So there's that side of it.
No, and then like all these like alignment penalties and things like that. The one thing that I don't want to make excuses for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Can we line up onside?
They keep lining up offsides. That's on them.
They're lining up offside. Like you can see it from the overhead angle. You can see it from the dots on Next Gen. Like, Harold Landry was offside. Like, it is what it is.
This is a separate rant. It's like there's two things you want from an official. Number one, consistency. I'd rather they call it looser than tighter, but if you're going to call it tight, call it tight. Call it the same way the whole game. If they're going to be nitpicky, it's annoying, but if they're going to be nitpicky the entire way through, as long as you kind of know what is and isn't a penalty, fine. Number two, speed. Yeah. Like, if you're going to be nitpicky and throw a million flags, know what the flag is, call it, move on. Don't spend 2 minutes discussing it each time. That's what I look for from the officials. I'll give you one more referee note before we move on here. I mentioned Sean Hockley, the 6th most flags in the league this year.
That worries me.
He, against the home team, so he's thrown 15 on average, 15 and a quarter flags per game. Against the home team, it's 6 and a quarter per game. Against the road team, it's 9 per game. So that's a kind of a noticeable split there that favors the home team for Sean Hockley. Something to keep in mind.
I do wonder if all the defensive offsides are their system.
So that's not the refs. They're just lining up.
I know,
offsides.
but their coaching is so get off the ball, fire off the ball, up the field, violence, like all these different things that they're coaching them on. And so like Anthony Jennings just like jumped one, like he was offside. Harold Landry was lined up in the neutral zone, which the Caleb on Jason's had some penalties like that too. So those ones, the neutral zone ones, like that's on you. Like the line of scrimmage is the 30. Don't put your hand on the 29. Like so that's on you.
We've talked about this, and Trent Brown was big on this, and we've seen it from other teams that like timing the snap count as an offensive lineman and getting right back into that pass set and you know, you get called for 1 or 2 false starts a game, but you get that extra step the rest of the snaps. Is the defensive counter to that now, hey, I'm going to line up right on the ball.
Yeah.
And if I get called for 1 offsides a game, but I get this extra half step to counter his extra half step, it's worth the 5 yards. I don't know that's what it is. It's just me guessing out loud. But
I just know that
offense have been doing that for a while. You got to figure there's a defensive counter coming eventually.
Right. And I just know that they're coaching them so hard to get off the ball.
Yeah.
That I just think that some of that is eagerness to try to get off the ball as quickly as they can. All right, we're going to take a quick break, pay the bills, and we'll come back with 3 Up, 3 Down.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/one-rate for details. Exclusions apply.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Catch-22.
Yeah. You know, if I read the ad before we get back on the air, then I'm not actually reading the ad.
Why were you doing this shtick when we weren't on the air?
What do you mean?
You were saying that while we still weren't on the air. Or
I know.
were we
I
on
don't
the
know.
air by the time you started saying
No,
it?
I wasn't. But that's
Okay.
like, it's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest, right? Like
Again,
that
like,
was-
just
Football
get the
fans
ads right. They're
know that
important.
traditions matter. Turning moments together into something truly epic. They're what inspire us to make our masa and Tostitos the traditional way. You had a big hit last night. Masa in the Tostitos, though, in this case. Starting with the whole corn kernels. No artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. All go to give you that perfect crunch. Discover your next tradition this football season. Head to the store, grab your Tostitos team bag, and scan the code for a chance to score on an epic experience with the Patriots. Tostitos, tradition matters. And Brunt Workwear makes your work boots and apparel that are built for the job site, is the official sponsor of the New England Patriots and the Gillette Stadium Field Crew. Their gear is comfortable, durable, and named after the real workers in the trades that helped design it. You can even try Brunt out on the job, and if it doesn't blow you away, they let you send it back. Save $10 on your first order at bruntworkwear.com/Patriots or coupon code PATS. I do want to read a quick comment in the YouTube chat, which we do try to monitor. It's hard sometimes to monitor it and host the show at the same time.
Right.
But we do try it. So this is from DC Patriot, who I believe is in here quite frequently. Evan is going full nerd on this. Pretty sure he's the only one who knows what he is saying. That is Catch-22 in a nutshell right there. It is an hour of full nerd, and sometimes I probably go a little too heavy on the football jargon, so I apologize. But I
think I followed most of it.
No, he said good luck to you. Like but
Evan, I got a note in here that said Evan going so nerd it doesn't even sound like words to me.
Okay, so I am not that we have all the time in the world to do this, but I am more than happy to explain some of my nerdom. Like this doesn't have to be I'm not a gatekeeper. Like we welcome everybody. So the emails are on, the calls are on. If you legitimately, I'm not being like, a snarky.
What's the formula for DVOA?
I can't tell you that. It's proprietary.
Sounds a little gatekeepy to me.
So the Patriots are 13th in offense DVOA. Good. They're 20.
Why?
They're 28th in defense DVOA, which I think tells you a little bit more about where their defense is at than maybe like points.
I didn't want to open this whole door.
So
I just
yeah, not
wanted
great.
to chirp the secret formulas.
Should we do 3 up, 3 down?
Sure.
All right. Who's your number one up in this game? I think we probably have the same one.
My number one up in this game was Christian Barmore.
Oh wow, we don't have the same.
I don't do them in order. Like I just do them in order that I think.
Why don't you do them in order? It's the
I don't
number
know,
one up.
Who's yours, Diggs?
No, keep going. Just give
Drake.
Give your take. Give your take.
Barmore and Milton Williams, two of them were just really good in this game. Once they got going, that's when the game changed. And I kind of just talked about it before. Once they started getting that interior pressure, the Panthers were never the same. It was nice to see Barmore kind of get to ring it up a little bit because teams have been, you talked about how teams are going back and forth on who they're focusing on. Yeah. I feel like it's been a lot of focus on Barmore, deal with what Milton Williams does. And Milton Williams did a lot. And so I think in this game, maybe it switched a little bit and teams decided, what if we double Milton Williams? What can Christian Barmore do? He can do a lot too. So I was glad to see. He didn't get any sacks, but, for people who follow pressures and things like that or just watch the tape, like he looked like somebody, it's like the resistance bands coming off, right? Shooting with ankle weights and you take those off and deal with double teams nonstop for 3 games. And suddenly he gets some one-on-ones. It's light work.
So I had him with 5 pressures in this game. Christian Barmore, he's on my list too. And he just had constant interior push. Like he had one really good rush where he landed a hit on Bryce Young and just dusted the right guard cleanly off the ball. And that was nice to see. But to me, most of his pressure was just denting the pocket. And he was just in Bryce Young's lap consistently in this game and took away multiple completion opportunities with his pressure. There was one in particular, right before Marcus Jones's punt return touchdown, where he walks the center back and then the left guard comes over and tries to help out the center. And he actually knocks Christian Barmore over, but it led to Bryce Young, all this trash being at Bryce Young's feet. And so Bryce Young had to move off his spot and ended up missing an open throw.
We didn't talk, that sequence probably isn't talked enough about.
That changed the game.
Because, so there's that second down where they get the pressure. 3rd and 10 from, I think, the 41, 43-yard line going in. So what I think they were doing is trying to catch the Patriots off guard. All right, if we can get 6 on a draw, right now we're going to go for it on 4th down.
Right.
And when you're a pass rusher in that spot, 3rd and 10, you're not thinking about my run fits and I got to keep this light. Like you're pinning your ears back and going. Milton Williams is still able to get the stop at the line of scrimmage. I don't know that the Panthers are punting there without, even if they get 3 yards on that run, they might go for it. At least try a long field goal.
Yeah.
That's a huge run stuff for Milton Williams in that spot that ultimately forces the punt that Marcus Jones takes back to the house.
Yeah, so I had them as my number 3 up here, and combined, Milton Williams and Christian Barmore had 7 total pressures in this game.
Yeah.
And that big stuff that you're talking about there by Milton Williams. They are a consistent week-to-week problem for opposing offensive lines to the point where we might need to retire Milton Williams and Christian Barmore from the ups.
I don't think we can retire anybody a month in.
Okay, well, they're going to be on it every single week because those guys
I
are
have more than 3 this week,
wrecking the game. On my number one up, and you talked about all these other guys. I can't believe it.
Is it Marcus Jones?
Marcus Jones, obviously. And Marcus Jones, 87-yard punt return touchdown, 61-yard.
I'm guessing you. I didn't think you would pick a special teams person.
He was a player of the game. I mean, the game totally flipped. Now, I agree with you that the defense making that stop sort of started to change the tide of the game.
Yeah.
But the game flipped on the 87-yard punt return touchdown. And I often go back and watch those to try to find out who made the block that sprung him on this return. Because that to me is really when special teams can be interesting. There was no block that sprung him because he just literally did it himself. He made 3 guys miss and then ran by everybody else. I haven't seen a whole lot of returns where the returner truly did it by himself. He truly returned that punt return by himself.
Look, football's, and the Patriots have been big on talking about this year. I think this is something Mike Vrabel's truly preaching. It's all 11 guys. Nobody, no one play is done by any one player and all of that. That's as much of one player doing the job for all 11 as you're ever going to see. And what's fascinating about that play, to extend the point we were just making, so they get that third down run stop. It's 4th and 10. I still think the Patriots are maybe... Mike Vrabel said something after the game about wanting to get a better push up front against the punt. I wonder if they were expecting a fake, because they had a lot of their starting defense out there. When's the last time you think Milton Williams helped on punt return?
Yeah.
Right? And Kairos Tonga. And so these are not... How many times do you think
Christian
those guys
Ellis.
have... Well, Ellis plays special teams a lot. But
That's true. But that was... Yeah, sorry.
How many times do you think Milton Williams has practiced how to set, block, and set up a return in his career?
Probably never.
Not many, if any, right? So credit to those guys for not getting in the way and not committing penalties, although Milton Williams kind of got in the way of Charles Woods.
Poor Charles
It was
Woods.
the biggest hit of the game. Although I guess Charles Woods told Milton Williams after the game it wasn't him. Didn't want him to feel bad or something. I don't know what that... Did you hear? Milton Williams got asked about it after the game. He goes, who was it? And then somebody in the scrum goes like, oh, it was Charles Woods. He goes, he told me it wasn't him. So I don't know what happened there. But, like, credit to those guys staying out of the way, not getting penalized. Kairos Tonga, there was one spot, I think it was Tonga, where I'm like, don't block in the back. Don't block in the back. And he didn't. As much of a one guy doing it all. And then the second one, too, was a really good return. And
the second one had a little bit more help, not to take anything away from Marcus Jones, but just to credit those guys. You know, Mapu, Jack Gibbons, they kind of...
that's more the core special teams
They
unit.
built the wall, right, to allow him to reverse field.
Well, the other thing on the first one, to your point of building the wall, I think Schooler, who is a special teamer, he thinks it's going to be a fair catch.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's going to be a fair catch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was
definitely
ridiculous.
played in role.
Let's not forget, he also had, look, I know it was only 19 yards.
Yeah.
In a close game, which this obviously wasn't, a 19-yard punt return can be massive.
Yeah.
And we're just throwing that away as a footnote in this game. So, yeah, he was excellent.
So Marcus Jones, we both had Barmore and plus Williams in my case. Who was? Did you have Marcus Jones too? Or
I did, yeah.
Okay, who was your next one?
So because I kind of went like defense to offense, special teams. This one's a combo. It's two guys, but I'll do it together because they're related. Will Campbell and Ben Brown.
Yep.
So Will Campbell, dog. And obviously the play is going around a ton. You guys posted it. First snap of the game, backside of the run. It's not that blocks. He just kind of needs to get in the way there. He doesn't need an impact block on that play. Nick Scorton, though, tries to swim move him. For whatever reason, that didn't sit well with Will Campbell, and he drives him about 15 yards and puts him on his ass. Tone setter. Dog. Awesome. And it's not an amazing front, but he was on his P's and Q's the rest of that game.
They literally cut the guy that was rushing on him of this game.
Did they?
Yeah, DJ Johnson. Now, that's not to take anything away from
DJ Johnson.
That's not to take away anything from Will
This
Campbell.
guy from Oregon, right? Who was also a tight end?
Maybe.
Maybe he should go back to playing tight end.
But the point is that Will Campbell
was DJ Johnson.
pitched a shutout in pass protection, was good in the run game in this game, and when you face this level of competition, that's what you
want
should
it to look
do.
dominant. Yeah,
and it was borderline dominant. So
borderline.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, let's not get too
just because of the level of competition. So
yeah,
and then I want to throw into that too. So
if he does this against Joey Bosa this week, we can gloat.
Let's give Will Campbell his flowers. I also want to recognize Ben Brown, who I think a lot of people had written off in camp.
Yeah,
comes back in, beats out Cole Strange, wins that starting backup interior guard. He played 8 snaps a guard in the NFL in the regular season prior to this game. He was great too. And him and Campbell were working some combo blocks, and he looked good in pass pro. And, we'll see ultimately where this goes long term. Jared Wilson's going to be part of their long term plans. If Bradbury starts to struggle, does this maybe open the door more to moving Wilson inside to center? And now you feel where Ben Brown's at as starting guard. When he came from Cincinnati last year, texted our old friend Trags. Said and I think he means like personality-wise, which, by the way, is a major compliment. Reminds him a little bit of Ted Karras.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a little Ted Karras in his game, too. And, if you go back to it, and I don't know how they would have done it because they had Joe Tooney, Shaq Mason, David Andrews, but, Ted Karras was a starting caliber player, and maybe there was a way for the Patriots to keep him involved and keep him around.
Kept him. Definitely should have kept him in 2021.
Well, but where was he going to play?
What do you mean? They traded Shaq Mason. They had right guard.
Not 21. Okay, so that wasn't 21. That was 22. Yes.
22 offseason.
They should have kept. Yeah. So I'm with you. But does he become their Ted Karras where he's like
a super sub?
Super sub, starting caliber interior offensive lineman that can move around, and maybe the long term plan is, and it's just one game. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But
Yeah. I think that's exactly what
Can
it
you
is.
picture something where it's, long term here, Will Campbell, Ben Brown, Jared Wilson, Mike Onwenu, second round pick in this year's draft?
Maybe.
Because Morgan Moses has been very good to start this year. I don't want to take anything away from Morgan Moses, but he is 34. He's not a long-term option. We know that. Everybody knows that. So, really encouraging to see Ben Brown have that game. There are questions about would he make the team? Would he fit in the new scheme? Where's the coaching staff was going to be with him? You saw it last year. He got signed on Thursday, started the first game of a rookie quarterback's career at center, and he fell off a little bit late in the year, but really gave them, solid center play for most of that season while everything was falling apart around him. This guy stays ready, shows up, plays on Sundays. You need guys like that on their football team. Big shout out to Ben Brown for the way he played, the way he stepped up.
Line talk.
He had the toughest match of anybody. What did Derek Brown do in this game?
Yeah, he had a little bit of Derek Brown in this game. So I think the biggest thing with the line, and I'm going to nerd out here for a second as well. So they're and you should ask Andrews about this. So
maybe I did.
They're sliding the line.
Yeah.
To 3-man slides to one side of the field, to one side of the formation, and then they're man-to-man on the backside. It's just like traditional pass protection. It's nothing. There's not
5-on-4. Yeah, you have the extra body.
Exotic about it. But by what they're doing when they to the non-slide side, to the man side, is that they're chipping with the tight end. So if Campbell's on the non-slide side or Moses is on the non-slide side, they're getting chip help from the tight ends. And then they're sliding on the other side of the line, which is giving the tackle inside help from the guard, right? So big picture, what they're doing is that this is how you help tackles that might not be world beaters in pass protection. Is you slide one way, you chip, you do different things, you move the pocket, of course, on these play action passes. They only had in this game, they only dropped back to pass 21 times total. So it's obviously a low number to begin with. But they only had 9 or 10 true pass sets in this entire game. So all that is doing is just limiting the exposure that Campbell and Moses have to true drop back pass. Now, you can't live in that world forever. There are going to be games where you're going to have to ramp that up and they're going to have to hold up. But they're doing a really good job schematically of helping the offensive line, which I think is a big part of why the line in pass protection has been so good. I also think it's a part of why, if you look at win rate, they're down still in the bottom 10 of the league. I think they're 23rd now in the league in win rate. But they're up near the top of the league in terms of time to pressure and blown block rate and things like that, because they're doing these things to help the line. So it hasn't been perfect with the run blocking, but the pass protection for this group has really come a long, long way. It's a big reason why the pass game has been so good. My last up was Diggs, obviously. Great game, 6 for 101. I think the most encouraging thing for this game with Diggs, and I keep picking on this guy, and I apologize, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Mike Jackson, the corner for the Carolina Panthers.
Former Patriot.
Not a very good player, in my opinion. Not on Stephon Diggs' level, and it did not look like he was on Stephon Diggs' level on Sunday. The fact that the Patriots have a version of Diggs that he can still feast on guys that are not on his level is really, really important just for the whole hierarchy of the passing game. Because now you go into games and the Bills are going to prepare for the Patriots offense this week. You can't just allow Diggs to go against your second or third corner. Christian Benford on third down is going to have to cover Stephon Diggs. Right. And now the domino effect that causes for Kayshon Boutte, for Matt Collins, for Kyle Williams, for Demario Douglas, it just puts those guys in the right pecking order. And so if Diggs can do that every single week where he's that coverage dictating game plan to receiver, that's all you're looking for. The production will hopefully come with that too. But even if it doesn't, just the fact that he's drawing number one receiver coverage is kind of enough. And the Panthers didn't shadow him with JC Horn in this game, and they hurt for it. They paid for it. And hopefully he can continue to do that. It was also great to see, I talked about the numbers yesterday, 13 air yards per target in this game, 6.8, 6.9 in the first 3 games, targeting him much further down the field. That, to see him get to the second and third level of the defense effectively is really good progress and a really positive for the Patriots as well. So Stephon Diggs, last one.
Yeah, I had Diggs on there as well. That's my whole list.
Okay, downs. Who do you got?
Penalties number one. We already talked about that.
Yeah, I had Carlton Davis number one, who had 2 of the 7 penalties.
Yeah.
I don't think Carlton Davis has been bad, but he's going to get a lot of targets this season because nobody's going to want to throw at Christian Gonzalez. So the ball is going to come at him a lot. And if he's holding and if he's, tugging on jerseys and things like that, that he's going to get a lot of flags thrown his way because the ball's going to be coming in that direction, which puts a spotlight on that matchup. And so I thought in this game he struggled a little bit with Tet McMillan, certainly on those in-breaking routes. And he's going to have to gear up every single week for seeing a ton of targets. Like he's going to get the ball thrown his direction a lot, and he's going to have to be ready for it. So I don't think it's not been a bust of a signing or anything like that.
Right.
But this game wasn't his best game. Who's number 2?
Number 2 for me was Christian Ellis.
Yeah.
Bench second week in a row. It's obviously not great. Defense has been getting better when he's not there. We probably should have put Jack Gibbons on the ups. He was really good in this game.
They have some holes at weak side linebacker.
We could have put in the ups, but 2 benchings in a row. Both times the defense gets better after he comes out of the game. You wonder if his starting job's in jeopardy, especially Jelani Tavai's eligible to come back off IR this week. I don't think that stylistically that's a fit, but they're just going to have another linebacker. Another rough game for him.
So I only had one other one, and I do want to talk about one other guy, but I feel like I keep picking on a rookie, and I feel bad about that.
Okay.
We talked about it with the defense stuff, just setting the edge against the run in general. I just didn't think was very good in this game. I didn't want to single out either Chazon White or Landry because I think all 3 of them at times were culprits of blowing the edge. So whether it's schematic, whether it's just playing blocks a little bit differently, like whatever they need to do to be a little bit more consistent on the edge of the defense, they're going to have to figure it out because this is a copycat league. And when teams start to see on film that they can't set the edge, all they're going to do is run off tackle. And they're just going to keep hitting that button and keep hitting that button until you stop it. So that was my second one. You had one more, you said?
Pop Douglas. Now, look, he sets the great block on the Hunter Henry touchdown, but he's falling behind Kyle Williams now in terms of usage. At least he did in this game. The offense looked really good with him not out there. He might find himself on the outside looking in of a significant role in this offense as things stand right now.
So the one that the rookie Travion Henderson, another hold in pass protection, the 9-yard check down that he caught. I thought there was a lot more yards available. Like it's 1-on-1 with the linebacker, and there's nobody else on that side of the field. So if he makes the linebacker miss there, he's going to be running for a while. That's the type of play, less so than the pass protection stuff, which I think will come in time. Like I would like to see him make a defender miss in some space there on that pass. Like that's why he's here. Like those types of plays, getting him into space with the ball in his hands as a receiver is why he was drafted at the top of the second round. I just been a little disappointed. Like it's not like I'm ready to write the kid off or call him a bust or anything like that.
It's a little bit of a slow start,
but it's been a slow start for Travion Henderson. All right, that is 3 up, 3 down. We're gonna get to your calls here. We're gonna ask you to be a little bit quick. We're gonna try to be quicker with the calls because we do want to fit previews in, and we haven't been doing a good job of budgeting our time in that respect. So we're gonna take your calls though. Patty is in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
What's up, guys? I'll make it quick. So
thanks, Patty.
The one thing. No problem. The one thing that I don't want to happen after this game is win or lose. I don't want to see like if we win this game, fans go nuts and have the hype train go off the rails and say we're going to the Super Bowl, we're winning the Super Bowl, and lose. Like Paul likes to say, the Blarg police come out and say, "See, that's who we really are." I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that, and I'll take it out there.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Patty. I wouldn't worry too much about the external.
Do you remember in 2021 when they got rolling a little bit and we started seeing the Mac Jones, Tom Brady Super Bowl collision course graphics and all that? I'd like to see him win the game, and then whatever happens with that happens with that. But yeah, I mean, people are going to get a little ridiculous if they do win this game. I'd say, take a deep breath, but also it's part of being a fan. It's part of being a fan. You win a game like that. They'll be over 500 for the first, outside of being 1-0 last year, for the first time since when? Like
probably 2021.
Right, back-to-back wins for the first time in a long time. Like
we're getting ahead of ourselves. They're going to win this game, but I'm not going to fault fans for being excited if they win the game on Sunday night. Now, internally, I'm sure Mike Vrabel will do everything in his power to keep them grounded, but that's internal. Like we don't have to do, like, we're not playing, we're not coaching.
I'll just say this.
Fine.
I've been known to take a victory lap or two on takes. The biggest victory lap I probably ever took was after the Mac Jones 3-pass wind game in Buffalo.
Oh my God.
And what has it been like between the Patriots and Bills since? So just, keep that in mind if you're going to make any big picture claims.
All right. Christian is in LA. What's up, Christian?
Hey, you guys. Good morning to you.
Hey.
How we doing?
Happy Wednesday. Good today. So really quickly, to me, I really feel like the key to this game, or at least us having a chance in the game, really is our sideline-to-sideline defense. I feel really confident about our run defense up the middle. Yeah, we've given us some stuff, but I'm pretty secure with not losing the game by a team beating us in the in the trenches. But sideline to sideline sort of worries me, and I think if we can get sideline to sideline defense, cover these guys, I really think we can neutralize a lot of what James Cook does to make his big yards. And then, again, Spillane or someone's going to have to cover him out the backfield. So to me, winning the game really keys on how we play and treat James Cook.
Yeah, Christian, thanks for the call. It's a really good point. I think preparing, setting up for the Bills this week, and we're going to get into this deeper in a second, but they are under center a lot more now. They run the ball traditionally a lot more now than what you probably, if you think of Josh Allen, you think of him running a lot, but they turn the ball, snap the ball, turn it around and hand it to James Cook a lot more now than they did maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And he is, you could argue that, he's kind of outside of Allen, like the engine of their offense right now. Him, Shakir, and Allen are kind of like their holy trinity, like their threesome right there of guys that are really driving this offense to number one in the league in pretty much every category. I think they're second in points technically because the Lions scored like 61 one week. So
against who?
The Bears. Yeah. That's but they're 30 points a week, 30 points a game every week. Like you're probably not going to hold the Buffalo Bills under 30 points. Let me put it to you that way. And James Cook is a huge part of it. The passing game stuff is obviously there for them if they want it. Like the Bills can do whatever they want. They have that kind of offense and that kind of talent. But I would say the run game with James Cook has really been a difference maker because it's made their offense more consistent. Like it's less volatile because it's not all predicated on Josh Allen just like throwing haymakers all the time now.
Right.
Because they have like scripted offense that they can go to where they're just running plays in structure traditionally, conventionally, offensively, and that's just leveled out their offense so much so that it's not just like 60-yard bomb, pick, 60-yard bomb, pick, right? Like now there's a consistency to it. Let's take Randy in Providence. What's up, Randy?
Hey guys, how's it going today?
Good.
So real quick, 2 questions. One, in the pre-draft process, part of the whole Will Campbell scouting, you saw the Landon Jackson matchup, which was kind of his kryptonite, and I'm wondering how you guys think that he's grown since that matchup to not necessarily specifically avoid Jackson, who I don't believe has been active yet, but to avoid any tips that Jackson might give his teammates on like how he was able to consistently get Campbell that week last year. And then secondarily, just quick, there are 5 names that made a 80 or better grade for PFF this week for the Patriots. On Onwenu, Diggs, Barmore, Pettis, and Spillane. You guys hadn't mentioned Pettis at all. I wonder what you think about that. Onwenu was the highest graded right guard in the league this week too. So, thanks.
Thanks for the call, Randy. Yeah, Del Pettis played in garbage time in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
so,
he only played 18 snaps.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a small sample size there in terms of his play. But Onwenu's been interesting because I had him for a hurry in this game. And look, he's a run blocking right guard and they're last in the league in rush EPA. So I understand that it's a team game and it's not just one guy ever. But at the same time, I think there's another gear there for Big Mike as a run blocker to really be an impact run blocker and have that right side be an impact right side for them that I just don't know if they've fully hit yet. And so I don't think Onwenu I know he gets a lot of flack. He's a big dude, and some people think he's out of shape and all that stuff. I don't think he's been bad, but when you're paying a guard $18 million, like you're expecting him
You
to
want him to be a little more than that, yeah.
an impact player. Yeah. All right. Jeff is in Maine. What's up, Jeff?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Hey.
I'll make it quick. I got a comment and a question. The comment is Epsom Chisholm Island off to a rough start. We're 1-3. Joe Burrow was my quarterback, so things have gone downhill. We had a bounce back week this week though, so we'll get back there.
Love it.
And my question, I feel pretty good about our matchup with the Bills receivers. I think that, Davis, bigger physical corner, matches up really well with Keon Coleman. Really shifty, smooth guy. Gonzalez matches up well with Khalil Shakir. And then their tight ends are a little bit worrying with how Tommy Tremble did against us last week. I was just wondering what you guys think about how we match up against the Bills passing game, and I'll take it off air. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks for the call. It's a good question, and I was on with the Bills guys on Cover One, Greg and Aaron last night, and when you hear the opponent's perspective on your team, it's kind of interesting because they're always looking at it like, where are the holes, like where are the weaknesses that the Bills can attack. And, rightfully, they pointed at the Patriots linebackers and safeties against the Bills tight ends and running backs. Like that was where we went and where the conversation went. And I think it's a fair concern that I want to kind of tackle here in a second more in depth. But that to me is part of what probably is going to decide this game is whether or not the Patriots can cover Kincaid and Knox and I was going to say Dalvin, James Cook out of the backfield. Like that's going to be a big part of this game. But I also, when I watch the Bills offense, I don't know how you feel about this, Alex. When I watch their passing game, I think Khalil Shakir is the guy that stirs the drink in that passing game. Like to me, he's the one that is almost like Edelman, where like he's the chain mover. He's fantastic with the ball in his hands, breaks tackles at an insane rate for receivers. Led the league in broken tackles last year, is near the top of the league in broken tackles this year. Given the Patriots' issues that they've had tackling through the first month of the season too, I just look at Shakir and say that's the guy that you absolutely, like if they beat you throwing the ball to Dawson Knox and Keon Coleman and like these other guys in their passing game, you kind of have to just tip the cap to those types of things. I'm not saying that don't go in with a plan, but I think Khalil Shakir is the guy that really is Josh Allen's binky. Like that's the engine of this offense.
And he's killed the Patriots. Yeah, Shakir has been very good against the Patriots. He's a really good player. And that wow, why am I blanking on his name? Not Isaiah Rodgers.
Isaiah McKenzie.
Isaiah McKenzie role a little bit. That's probably who I'm putting Gonzalez on in this game. And if he has to play more out of the slot, so be it.
It's tough because Shakir is a catch and run guy, and he's not a guy that Gonzalez is going to end up covering a lot down the field with downfield routes. They throw a ton of passes to him short, behind the line of scrimmage passes like screens and motions and like all that different kind of thing. All those like schemed plays that they run offensively in the passing game are pretty much all featuring Khalil Shakir. Yeah. So it's a tough matchup for a guy like Gonzalez, who is fantastic, but Gonzalez really takes out guys that are running routes down the field. Like that's his specialty. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say that tackling is Christian Gonzalez's best trait either. So I don't know what exact, because like in theory I agree, and I'm probably gonna write that it should be Gonzalez because Shakir to me is top billing. Like he is like the marquee matchup in this game. In the Bills passing game. But I do wonder how they handle him because he is a little bit different last year. Not that last year's coaching staff is the best barometer of how to game plan an offense, but they had Jonathan Jones on Shakir, which makes sense. Like speed guy, great open field tackler. I don't know if Marcus Jones is necessarily that kind of player, but maybe a little bit more like that kind of player. So it's an interesting one. It's not a Tet McMillan where you can just line up Christian Gonzalez over him and have them go toe to toe.
That's what they just don't have a ton of good receivers though, and somebody's got to cover somebody.
Yeah. Ryan is in Tennessee. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's up, guys? Huge fans of the show and your guys' takes and analysis and what you do. So thank you, keeping Pats fans close to all the action. And
Thank you.
A couple of things. Yeah, absolutely. And I know you want it to be quick, so I'll be as quick as I can here. But just like big picture, I can't remember the last time I was just excited about the Patriots. Really, and when the schedule came out, I kind of was just hoping for 2-2 entering the Buffalo game, no matter how it came. And it was very interesting, but super excited for the matchup this week. And nice to not just be incredibly nervous before we play Buffalo, and really just feeling like we have a chance in every game that we have on the schedule, that we have a chance to be in it with this the staff and our offense, defense, and everything we've got going for us this year. So that's all, and just wanted to say hi, and again, thank you guys for what you do. And I also agree, Marcus Jones on Khalil Shakir. I think he's our best matchup, match at speed, and a pretty good tackler, underrated tackler. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for the call, Ryan. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is nice, and like I think I might have said this off the air, so I'll say it on the air. The fact that we can like really get nerd out and talk about like the X's and O's, but also just like get really in depth on the games because people actually care about how these games unfold again is what this show is all about. So it's really cool that we have that opportunity. I just feel like the last couple of years, everything is just so doom and gloom, and it's just what went wrong, or big picture draft, like all these other different things. Like that's not what this show was built for. This show is built to do what we're doing here today. So it's cool to be back in that category, at least for now. We'll see if it lasts, but at least for this week, we're back in that world. Jordan is in Georgia. What's up, Jordan?
Hey guys, this is my first time calling. Glad I finally got to. I watch y'all all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. My question, more of a statement, really. I love the Patriots. I got a lot of friends, and I see a lot of people in the media hyping us up after these last couple wins. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but like I've been watching football for 10 years, and I don't know if I've seen a more miserable 53-man roster than the Panthers. Like receivers, I've never heard of. Bryson Tremaine was starting for them. Hunter Renfrow, who they actually cut, I heard, and then brought back after a Coker injury. Besides Ted, they didn't really have anyone. I think they said they had 2 pressures on Drake Maye the whole day. And I'm love the direction we're going in. I feel like we're building momentum, but I want to see it against some better teams. I just want to know if I'm being too pessimistic, but that's it.
No, not at all. I think that you're spot on, but just the one thing I would say just on the positive is that the Panthers are not a good team, and the Patriots made them look like
they beat them by 30.
Right.
It would be one thing if that was like a 10-point game and it was close, and you can't not play them. You don't get to be like, well, we're so above them, like we don't, so
I get what he's saying.
You want it to look like against a bad team.
If we're talking playoffs or trying to take this team truly seriously, he's right. He's 100% right. With that being said, when you play bad teams, you make them look bad. You win by 29, win by 30. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
And so they were able to do that. You can't say the same for this team for the past like 2.5 years. They have not been able to beat bad teams the way they beat down Carolina on Sunday. So that's positive. What was Mike Vrabel's first checkpoint? Can you take advantage of bad football? They're starting to take advantage of bad football. Like the win against Miami was kind of taking advantage of bad football. And then this was also a win
taking advantage of a lot of bad football.
And, just quickly, just look at the schedule. Like the schedule.
A lot of bad football coming up.
There's a lot of bad football. Buffalo.
Not this week, but.
One thing. But yeah, I mean, you have that, was it New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland trio there right after Buffalo to wrap up the month of October. That's a lot of bad football, and that's a lot of opportunities there to win some of these games and just try to get ahead of it and maybe even be, dare I say, like in the hunt, come December and January if you clean up. And let's face it, like I don't know what's going to happen in Atlanta. Like Atlanta is sort of teetering. They played better this past week, but this Panthers team beat Atlanta 30-0 2 weeks ago, right? Like that Panthers team that everybody's saying is terrible blew out the Falcons the week before. So Falcons are on your schedule. The Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals that look lifeless on Monday night are on your schedule. Both those teams, Miami and the Jets, that also looked like they were a bunch of bad football going on in that game, you have 3 more games against those guys. So what did I just rattle off 6-7 games that are all very winnable for the Patriots. And they, you start talking about 8, 9, 10 wins. Now you start talking about wild card and being a 6 or 7 seed and all that good stuff. We have 20 minutes to talk about the Bills, so we did a little bit better today with the timing here. This game to me is a really fascinating game in terms of matchups and all that kind of stuff. Let's start with Josh Allen, because I know that this is one of our favorite topics to discuss on and off the air with Josh Allen. I have 2 takes on Josh Allen. The first take is watching their film and watching their offense over the last 2 years evolve. They have basically allowed Josh Allen to be Clark Kent like 95% of the time. And then every once in a while, like last week, he had that big 30-yard run where he pulls out the Superman cape. But he doesn't have to do that as much anymore. And he's gotten so much better in structure running conventional offense that it's just made them a juggernaut offensively. And I give him credit for that. I give obviously the Buffalo coaches, and Joe Brady is really good at what he does too. But to me, that's been the biggest difference with Josh Allen that the Patriots faced early on in his career, and the Josh Allen now is Josh Allen now can play quarterback. Like he can sit in the pocket and just tear you up just playing conventional quarterback. I mentioned the run game stuff earlier on with James Cook. When you combine those 2 things, that they are number 1 in the league right now in pass and rush EPA. They're number 1 in both categories. They are the best offense in football. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that Josh Allen doesn't play as much hero ball anymore as what he did early on in his career. So where are you at with Josh Allen? Because I know that this is all, we always go back and forth on Josh Allen. I wanted, you're on the record now.
I mean, I said for years that there were elements of the quarterback position that he couldn't handle, and you yelled at me for being a hater, and you just admitted that he struggled at playing quarterback until recently.
I didn't say that.
Now that you just did.
I think that I give him a lot of credit for developing patience.
You literally just said he's really playing quarterback now or something like that.
Developing patience is something that I think is a really underrated thing about quarterback play. When you're Josh Allen and everybody's trying to keep you in the pocket and everybody's trying to keep the top on the defense and they're playing a lot of soft zone and cover 2 and 2 high shell, like the easiest thing to do is to go play hero and start running around and chucking the ball all over the place. And to his credit, what his growth has been, along with the mechanic stuff and the accuracy, is that he is now willing to take the profits. Like he's willing to just sit there and throw the ball underneath the defense and move the ball that way. He is middle of the road, like 19th in air yards per pass attempt, but they're number 1 in efficiency. Like, so the fact that he's not throwing the ball down the field a ton hasn't hurt them at all. And that's a testament to, I think, him developing some patience, which I think is tough for young quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, look, it is impressive. He's cut out the turnovers, and that's what was killing him. And I know that the math will tell you that the turnovers aren't important because
didn't say that.
The nerds saw their favorite guy turning the ball over and said, let's cook up a formula where we downplay that.
Wow.
But no, the fact he's not turning the ball over now and he can play more in structure, I mean, that was the book on him, was just keep him in structure, make him be patient. He could do it against Patriots because he had a hair across his ass for Bill Belichick in this organization, and he would only do it against Patriots and nobody else. We saw that. Now he's doing it against everybody. So
it hurts you to say nice things about him. It hurts you.
I've never said that he's bad. I just said he was overrated. And I still think it's true. Like, I got asked this morning on the radio. I was on with Toucher and Hardy, and Toucher goes, do you think James Cook's one of the most underrated players in the league? I think he is. Or one of the more underrated running backs in the league. I think he is. Because we have to give anything that happens with the Bills credit. Anything that happens with the Bills, we have to give the credit to Josh Allen and nobody
James
else.
Cook and Khalil Shakir.
You were very complimentary of Shakir today. But we have to give, and look, ironically, now there's not as much talent around him as there used to be. I thought Diggs was underrated for years. And I still think he was at the time, but like
you're still like on this island. Like you're not.
What Josh Allen is doing now is very impressive. You guys have been talking about him like he was doing this since 2020, and he hasn't been. This is a recent development.
He's been a top 5 quarterback in the league since 2020.
The way he's playing right now, you just said he's changed a lot in the last year and change.
I said that he's playing more conventional quarterback, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't damn good doing the other stuff.
But what he was doing before, right? And I never said he was bad before, but these were just And this is my point. I never said he was bad. I just pointed out there were flaws in his game.
He was overrated, I think, is what you said.
Because I pointed out there were flaws in his game and got, he's Josh Allen. You're flawed. You're just a hater, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm sorry. He's perfect. All hail St. Allen or whatever. But, like, and now he's cleaned up a lot. And here's the thing. So you're now shortchanging him.
No.
Because I want to, yes, you are.
No, I'm
Because
not.
I want to say he's cleaned up a lot of things in his game that I thought were going to be tough to clean up. But according to you and all the other fanboys, he was perfect forever, so we can't give him credit for improving, because how can he get better? So,
no, that's not what I said.
You got to be on your P's and Q's defending him. He doesn't give you a ton of room for error defensively. The hardest thing with him, the thing that always kills me, and the play that I think really scares me with him more than anything else, when he starts rolling out of the pocket, and he just has an unbelievable knack for. You get the 2-on-1, and he's got a receiver in the flat, and there's one defender. And the defender has to either come down and crash it on Allen or take the receiver in the flat. He's really good at waiting until the last second to make that decision and always making the right decision. It's uncanny the way he always makes the right decision in that situation. That's the play that makes me pull my hair out. Is you think you have him pinned to the sideline, and either the defender pulls up at the last second because they don't want to flag, or they think he's going to throw, and then boom, he scoots up the sideline for 15 yards, or that defender crashes down, he flips the ball to whoever, and now that guy's got a ton of room to run. That's the play to me that makes him the most dangerous.
Yeah, it's funny because I think everybody goes there with him, because that is the play that is a backbreaker. Like it's 3rd and 8, and you have him, and you have the initial kind of routes covered initially, and you have the play stopped initially, and then he just goes off script and pulls something out of his butt. But like I was saying, he doesn't have to do that as much anymore, because their conventional offense is just working. Like they just have enough open guys that he can just make throws on time from the pocket. It's cool to see that development. I think it gives you an awful lot of hope if you're a Patriots fan about Drake Maye, because you already see Drake Maye doing that, I would say, even earlier on in his career compared to Josh Allen. Like Drake Maye in year 2 is already where Josh Allen started to get, maybe in like 19, 2020 type range, which was 2-3 years into Allen's career. The other thing I wanted to say about Josh Allen, just from like a game plan perspective on how to, stop this freaking guy, teams have not really brought the fight to Buffalo very often. And a big part of what I'm seeing on film with the Bills is that they get all this soft zone coverage because everybody's terrified of the big play and him getting out of the pocket. So it's mush rush 4 guys, drop off into coverage, keep everything in front of you. They right now are leading the league in yards after the catch per reception. They're averaging 7 yards per catch after the reception. They have 12 explosive plays on passes that traveled less than 10 yards in the air. So they're just killing teams on catch and run stuff, screens, Khalil Shakir breaking 6 tackles last week and going up the sideline. And all of this is because everybody backs off. Like they're giving them 8 yards of cushion. And so all Allen does is he just flips a screen out to Khalil Shakir with a couple blockers, and the corners are way off the line of scrimmage, and Shakir's just running, with daylight all the time. And I understand that this strategy, a lot kind of, on steroids, but like week 1 for the Patriots defense, you might lose some rounds. Like this might end up with you on the mat a couple of times. But with the corners that the Patriots have, with the pass rushers that the Patriots have up front, has anybody actually tried to like get in the face of these receivers and try to press these guys? Because they're not a great group of wide receivers.
No.
And the one thing that like gives you pause on that is they do motion so much that if you try to play man-to-man and now you're chasing Shakir left to right because he's constantly going in motion, that's what Joe Brady's going to do if they play man, is he's just going to motion Shakir all over the place. But I just wonder if you try to bring the fight to them a little bit and you go man-to-man.
I've been saying this for a long time.
You play press, you rush 4 or 5 guys to keep Allen in the pocket. And let's see if these receivers for Buffalo can separate.
I've said this for a while. There's more games than people want to admit that the Bills' success is just the other team playing scared. And I always go back to, and I've told this story on here before, but like when Brady came back here in 21 and we were talking to Matthew Judon about it. Matthew Judon had been on some of those Ravens teams
right.
that gave the Patriots trouble, and he talked to some guys that were on the teams that really gave him trouble back in the day. And he wouldn't say Brady's name or something during the press conference. There was something weird about it, and we just kind of kept asking him. And eventually, was like, guys, look, he's a good football player, and I'm paraphrasing him. He's like, he's a good football player, but we're in the NFL too.
Right.
And at a certain point, you got to do what you do. And we saw, how many teams did we see come in here, whether it was the Steelers, whether it was the Colts, whether it was the Chargers, and just completely try to reinvent themselves because they were so in their heads about what this Patriots offense was.
Yeah.
And now you come out of your comfort zone and you're hurting yourself more than you think. And I think some teams do that against the Bills now. And frankly, the Bills are not good enough to deserve that respect. Not this iteration of their offense. You just said they have no receivers. Don't laugh.
I didn't say they have no receivers. I said that I don't know if this group, because
who's better receiver in Patriots and Bills?
Close.
Exactly.
It's close. Shakir, I think, might be a little bit better than Diggs at this point.
After last week, I don't know.
I know, it was Carolina.
But if Diggs starts getting healthy and rolling.
Sure. I hear your point, and this is my point.
So let me finish. So, like I said, there's all these teams that would come in and just mess their pants because, it's the Patriots. We got to do all this stuff that we don't know how to do because we got to do something different. And the Patriots just roll all over them.
Right.
The Ravens were the one team.
Had no
and
fear.
This is why the Ravens gave the Patriots trouble for all these years, I think, is part of it. Because Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and those guys had this mentality that who cares?
Yeah.
Right? We're in the league. They're in the league. Let's play ball.
Yeah.
And I do think against the Bills and the Chiefs, against any great team, I see the Eagles are another team that this happens against. I see teams twist themselves into a pretzel trying to get creative against the Eagles. And it's just play them, man.
Yeah.
Just play them. If you're a decent team, and maybe they win, maybe they are better than you. At a certain point, you got to do what you do, and you got to play to your strengths. So to your point, they got a good pass rush. They got these big physical corners. Get up on them. But Josh Allen might do that. All right, so then sit 10 yards off and let them pick you apart.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I saw.
Don't let them
last couple weeks
force you to reinvent yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I've seen the last couple of weeks out of these defenses is that they're terrified of the deep ball. They're terrified of Josh Allen off script. And if you play man-to-man coverage, then you're opening yourself up for him running around and playing off script.
I do think having a spy in this game would be helpful.
Sure, but and if you spy him and with the spy, it forces him into a decision, right? Don't let him just extend the play. And I think the biggest thing to me about it all, we were talking about it just now with Josh Allen and his growth. At this point, I would rather turn this into a messy playground football game. And I know that sounds crazy with Josh Allen because that's been his superpower, but I think that you're going to win more rounds than doing it that way.
Yeah.
Than backing off and playing scared, because when you back off and play scared, they are just driving the ball down the field on teams. They're taking the profits underneath zone defenses. They're running the football at an extremely high rate. So I just wonder if the Patriots now with these two corners are just built to let's just man them up and let's see, let's make Keon Coleman get open. Let's make Dalton Kincaid beat us. Let's make this happen for the Bills instead of just we're going to give them 8-yard checkdowns all game long. Because as you always talk about with the run game, if you average 8 yards per pass attempt, you're going to be in the end zone a lot. And I get why teams are afraid. But the Patriots might be one of the few teams that have the personnel to not be afraid.
And it's also, do you think there's a chance the Bills overlooked the Patriots?
A little bit. But
they went up there last year and got up to a 14-0 lead. Ultimately, they didn't hold it.
Yeah.
But that was one of Drake Maye's best games.
Bills people, though, they were in more of a dogfight against New Orleans than they wanted to be in. And so I do think that the Bills kind of had some humble pie last week where the Saints were not really in the game, but it was 31-19.
Well, is there also an element of Dolphins played them close? And I get that's a divisional game on a short week, but the Dolphins played them close at home. How do the Bills have 3 home games in a row? Of course they do. Dolphins played them close at home. Saints played them close at home. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something to the Bills letting these teams hang around and stay in games, and maybe they're not the juggernaut everybody thinks.
Last thing there.
I'm sorry. Who's better, the Saints or the Panthers?
Yeah, I hear you. I just
does
think
a juggernaut let that Saints team?
I love the little digs.
I'm just here to keep everybody honest. If we're just gonna hand the Bills the Lombardi Trophy in September, like people have tried to do the last 4 years,
no one's handing
why are we playing the games?
Can we talk about the
Do you remember
offense
when
really quick?
ESPN tweeted that they got their revenge in like week 1 of the season? Oh, full circle moment. It's ridiculous.
We have 1 minute to talk about the offense. I want to really quickly talk about.
I told you just wanted to talk about Josh Allen.
True. The Bills defense.
Yeah.
Talking to some of the Bills fans this week, they're way more concerned about their defense than I thought they should be. Like, I guess this is fandom and that's the whole thing. They've been playing down a couple starters. No Ed Oliver, no Matt Milano. Max Hairston, their first round pick, hasn't been playing. So that's a big part of it. And we'll see on the practice reports this week if Milano and Oliver are going to play in this game on Sunday. But they're getting run on. They're 28th in the league and against the run. Their running quarterbacks have given them problem. Even Rattler had some scrambles last week. So running quarterbacks have given them problem. Conventional run has given them problems. They're still really good pass defense, and they have always been, and that's always been a tough one. But the Patriots have found ways, especially in that 2021, really both matchups in 2021 with Mac Jones, to run the football on this Bills defense. The Bills play a 4-3 over front. They play the same front and the same base defense that I've seen them play since Sean McDermott took the job 8 years ago. They play the same style. The Patriots love to run it at the weak side of the defense because the over front is tilted to the strong side. The numbers are at the strong side of the defense. So if you can isolate the weak side linebacker, it's one-on-one backside. If you can get blockers, whether that's with the fullback or pullers or whatever the case may be. So the Patriots got to be able to run the ball in this game. I'm going to come on your side of the street. You know, this is a run the ball, shorten the game, limit possessions for Josh Allen. Like, that's the formula for the Patriots this week in this game.
They're built to do it. Well, and that usually puts coaching more in the spotlight. So it's a good point on the run. I just want to bring up one more point, and I'll ask you this. Who has the coaching advantage in this game? Shouldn't need to think about that.
Yeah, I think probably the Patriots. Probably.
I don't think it's probably. I think the Patriots have the coaching advantage in this game. So that's something that, you know, if you can shorten a game, that looms large.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Patriots Unfiltered is going to be on here in 4 minutes at noon, so we're still going to talk way more about the Buffalo Bills in this matchup. On Sunday, Alex and I will be back next week, recap the Bills. It's the Saints, right, after the Bills game.
I just know it's Saints, Titans, Browns in order,
Yeah, we'll get into that matchup as well. We'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.